Hey everybody, how's it going? My name is MundaneMatt, and I just got done watching the ABC Nightline News report, What It Feels Like to Be a Gamergate Target. And I have to say it like that because it's the only way to keep me from laughing uncontrollably at just the title of the video. It feels like something you would find at To Catch a Predator, and there would be that dark, deep, ominous voice. Anita Sarkeesian walks alone to her car at night. She's pissed off gamers on Twitter. What will happen next? Find out on informative murder porn. Dun dun dun. It's kind of what it feels like to me, although it's not the case at all, and I'm being hyperbolic for the sake of comedy, something Anita Sarkeesian never really gets. Anyway, moving on. So, the 8-minute, 17-second broadcast that appeared last night on ABC was so full of holes I don't even really know where to begin, and I'm honestly not going to cover every single thing about it. Just a couple things. One, Anita Sarkeesian has nothing to do with Gamergate. That's just first and motherfucking foremost here, okay? And it's so sad and infuriating, really fucking infuriating, that over the course of the past 5 months now, 5 months as of like in 3 days from now, on the 18th of January, the 7-year anniversary of the movie Cloverfield having been released, will be the 5-month anniversary of my video getting DMCA'd, and that's kind of what kicked this thing off. Anita had nothing to do with this, and still remains to this day to have nothing to fucking do with this. The Dobson tweets had no mention of Gamergate whatsoever. The University of Utah massacre thread had no mention of Gamergate whatsoever. Anita's personal information being put online had no mention of Gamergate whatsoever. So why in the holy rat shit fucking Christ does this have to do with Gamergate? And the answer is simple. It does not. Except for that it sells, right? Being a professional victim in this particular case, attributing yourself as a victim to a movement that has nothing to do with you in the first place, is extremely profitable, as we've seen by not only Anita, but goddamn Brianna Wu. Another complete fucking nut bar of which I would love it. I would absolutely love it if I never had to look at her face ever again, or hear her voice ever again, or have anything to do with her ever again, because the amount of bullshit she spews is worse than any politician on the Hill. That level of bullshit. And it's been disproven time and time again. Constantly been disproven, but yet here we are looking at an ABC News report where they go to her house saying that she's been run from her home, and I don't know, there's that infographic popping around that showcases the fact that she never fucking left her home. Never mind the fucking fact that she, just a couple days after the death threats came in, right, that made her flee her home in terror, did she go to the Boston Comic-Con and tweet out her exact location of where she would be for the next 2 fucking hours. Her precise location. For 2 hours, she put that on Twitter. And yet felt so threatened she couldn't return to her home. But yet posted her location in a convention that anyone can go to for 2 hours. Because logic. Right? Yeah, I fucking thought so. Anyway, though, back to the Anita thing. Let's talk about the timeline of events here, okay? It's been almost 5 months since my video was DMCA'd, effectively kicking this bitch off, all right? Let's make no mistake about it, that's kind of what the catalyst, all right? It's not the cause, it's definitely the catalyst. So, as a result, Anita had nothing to do with this in the beginning, right? Now, what people need to remember is prior to my video getting DMCA'd, Jordan Owen and Davis Arini were already tweeting out the concept of what the Sarkeesian Effect documentary was going to be. This was prior to my video getting DMCA'd and prior to the Zoe post going live, okay? So what happened was, this is what you would call a perfect storm. A whole bunch of elements coming together at once, and her being able to come in and really kind of write it to success, unlike the guys from that movie, A Perfect Storm, who all died. So what happened is, Jordan and Davis used the hype surrounding Gamergate to promote their project. Because quite frankly, the timing for them worked out perfectly as well, and they were able to use that. And then they posted that out there, right? Well, Anita had already known about this, probably at least the rumblings of what was coming, because they pay attention. She then, 3 days later, releases her new video, which comes out about a good solid 1 to 3 months before schedule. On average, she releases a video about once every about 3 to 5 months, usually on the longer side, not the shorter side. And so she released her last video about 5 months ago. So she's due for another one here in a couple days, but we'll see what happens with that. The point is, she went out of character, she went out of schedule to release a video to capitalize on what was happening with the Sarkeesian effect, because that was getting the attention. Then you have the Badass Digest article, which talked about the Sarkeesian effect, blasted them to hell and back. That's what brought in Devin Ferrasi. That's what brought in, I believe, Joss Whedon, and a number of other players into the game, at least kicking off the anti-side of this. Keep in mind that none of it had to fucking do with Gamergate at all. This is even before the Gamergate hashtag was created by Adam Baldwin on August 27th. So this is all pre-Gamergate shit, back when we were still joking about the conspiracy, which I will admit was a kind of in poor taste joke. That being said, Anita has nothing to do with Gamergate. She has nothing to do with ethics in video game journalism outside of the fact that people cover her implicitly without ever giving platform to the criticisms of her work, maybe minus a couple just very light, floaty comments here and there. You know, very, very light criticism like, oh, you have a blemish on your sneaker. Oh, you know what I mean? Like that level, surface level bullshit that means nothing. Never mind the fact that if you want to talk about ethics here, which is basically what this whole thing boils down to, what about, you know, Jonathan McIntosh and Anita going and stealing an artist's image for their logo for Tropes vs. Women, and then when she contacted them about it, they said fair use, right? Which granted, it does fall under fair use. Fair use is a license to use that material in context of criticism, education, commentary, things like that. So that's not an illegality, but there is a moral implication there that could be discussed. Given the fact that instead of apologizing and asking, you know, and acknowledging the problem, it was just like, nope, fuck you, it's legal, I did it, eat my dick, which is essentially what McIntosh said back to Cow Kitty. Not only that, but they also took Let's Play footage from other games and put that in their videos. You know, that was found out to be true right off the damn bat. And so all of these things have happened, right? All of these things have fucking happened with Anita that are criticizable, that are verifiable, that are out there. But yet it's absolutely ignored by the mass media. However, an anonymous Twitter account that tweeted out 12 death-ready tweets over the course of 3 minutes, and then it was immediately taken down with no mention of Gamergate, is now Gamergate, right? All of these things have nothing to do with Gamergate are Gamergate. And that is the precise problem with the mainstream media in this particular regard. Anita Sarkeesian is a master manipulator. Let's make no fucking mistake about it. Brianna Wu is a master manipulator because I think people look at her, they don't know if she's frightened, scared, or just doesn't know where she is. Like a sweet old woman who has Alzheimer's who winds up, you know, in the panty garment idol of a fucking Walmart, trying it on right there. That kind of crazy. That's what we see from these kind of people. And they're able to play the media up how they want. That's the shittiest thing about what's going on right now. This ABC news report was shit. It was shit because not only did they ignore any of the verifiable information that's out there, the only question they asked was, well, what do you say to your critics about these allegations? Oh, well, that's just the old question, isn't it? And then they cut on to something else, right? Because that's all they can do. Anita is really good at deflecting and most likely wouldn't sign off on that particular interview until then. Maybe she was able to play it to where she didn't sign her release form until after the interview was done and that whole thing. I got no fucking idea. The point is, that question should have been asked a little bit harder, because this is something where a critic who is putting themselves out there to the point of where they need police protection to go somewhere and is still hiding behind their criticisms, but when asked point blank to defend their criticisms, simply cannot come up with anything other than, well, Grand Theft Auto 5 is a really horrible game to women. That's about it. That's the only thing she has at this point. When she says that every time you find the worst case of misogyny in gaming, there's another one right around the corner, they just keep referencing back to Grand Theft Auto 5, as if the game she's playing, she just drove around the corner, found another fucking overweight hooker, went, had sex with her, killed her, run her down, took her fucking money, and went on with her day, and went and did the next one. Rinse and repeat. That's all I fucking get out of that. That's all there is out of that. There's nothing else. Because Anita knows that her arguments are fucking paper thin and they're getting shot full of holes and they can't hold their weight and the blah, 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 any analogy you want to use in that one. As time goes on, the list of things that she is saying, that it gets bigger, bolder, crazier, and nuttier. And it's now to the point of where it's so over the top that the only way to contain the craziness is to bring in Brianna Wu as the ringer of crazy. Because if you have Anita, calm, composed, well, Grand Theft Auto 5 is a horribly misogynistic game, and then it immediately jump cuts over to Brianna Wu, who, just like I said, looks like a confused old lady in the garment aisle of a Walmart, and she just goes like, it's terrorism, it's just terrorism, right? And then like, oh, well, by default, Anita looks like the motherfucking sane one, which is true, probably. But that's what's happening here. And it's so sad that after 5 months, we are still in this particular debate structure. I'm not going to lie. I hate talking about Anita Sarkeesian. I absolutely fucking hate it because information is available. Information is accessible. Information is there. Why certain people are so just stingent to hide behind their supposed values as to not anger the new friends that they have, or they want to hide behind these ideals that are put forward by other people that are poorly researched, poorly debated, and poorly put out there, who hide behind a thinly veiled layer of fucking criticism or threats or whatever, is beyond me. I don't get this shit anymore, guys. I simply don't. Is it just like, are they so dedicated to the cause that there's no way for them to even maybe admit that they're wrong, you know? And that's an honest to God thing. It's an honest to God thing. I'm not perfect. I make my own fucking mistakes, and when I do, I try to acknowledge I made those mistakes and move on from there. Anita's the kind of person that never once makes mistakes. I'm pretty sure if you asked her point blank, do you pee or poop? You know, just like that scene from The Interview, you know, where James Franco asks the one lady, is it true that Kim Jong-un doesn't pee or poop? He works so hard, his body consumes the energy. So you're telling me he doesn't go poo. He doesn't need a butthole. He doesn't need a butthole. Basically, what it is, Anita doesn't need a butthole, is kind of what I take from that. Is the legends surrounding her are so big, so massive, so inflated, that the people that she kind of, I guess you could say, almost rules over, believe these lies because that's the only propaganda that they know. Because that's the only propaganda that they're shown. And that gives you something to think about, doesn't it? Anyway, I know this thing's been all over the place. The ABC report was shit. It was shit. The one guy they talked to from the 8-bit and up arcade, that guy had an idea. That guy had a good thought. They should have talked to him more to get the alternate side. And that's the problem with these pieces. They maybe address the alternate side, but that's about it. You know. And I will say this. My favorite part of the entire thing was when they showed the list of tweets, and they happened to show a screen cap from Ralph Retort having an image of Zoe Quinn saying "Big Phony" on it. I don't know about you guys, but I have a feeling the editor, whoever put that piece together, is a pro gamer gator and had that edited in just to let us know that he's rooting for us. My name is, of course, MundaneMatt, and I will talk to you later. Leave your comments below, thumbs up the video, all that fun shit. And I'm going to go play some more video games because at least that makes sense. See you guys.